In this video, I'll look at cloning and different clone types in 3ds Max. I'm going to take my chandelier that I've placed in the previous video and clone it to the other locations. I'll select it, press T for top view, and zoom out a bit. One of the great things we can do is clone using an offset snap. I'll press spacebar to make sure my selection lock is on. If it's already on, that's okay. And now I'm going to register this snap on another point. I need to clone from here to down here, and then over, and then all four onto this panel. I'll start out then by registering that snap over on the side, holding Shift, and clicking and dragging to the same place on the next beam down. I'll let go, and up pops my Clone Options dialog. I'll choose Instance. What do these mean? Well, we have three different ways of cloning. In a copy, one change doesn't affect the others, meaning if I change one of the chandeliers, nothing happens. In an instance then, if I change one, they all change. And a reference for us is like a modified instance, an instance up to a point and a copy above that. For now though, we'll just use copy and instance, and I'll make this an instance, so if I change one, they all change, and I'll click OK. Now I'll hold Control and select the second chandelier. When you're selecting in 3ds Max, you click on an object to select. You hold Control to add to the selection and Alt to deselect. With both chandeliers selected, I'll press spacebar for selection lock, and I'm going to register this snap on another point that's a match on the next beam over. I'll hold Shift and click and drag those chandeliers, again cloning as an instance. Now I'll hold Control, pick the other two, press spacebar for selection lock, and clone to the next panel over. Very quickly, I've got 8 chandeliers spaced out. I'll do the N2 and then take a look from inside. I'll pick one, hold Control, pick another, press spacebar for selection lock, and hold Shift while I click and drag, cloning them over as instances. And lastly to the other side, spacebar, register, Shift, and clone, and OK. Really quickly, I've put all the lighting in. I'll press P for perspective and orbit that camera around using Alt on the mouse wheel and moving inside. I'll press F3 for a shaded view and make sure I scroll forward so I'm seeing inside that space. Right now we're seeing it lit by the default lights, and because this has a light-tight shell, the light is simply coming through those windows. But there's my chandeliers in here. If I press F4, I'll turn off their wireframe, and I'll choose, instead of realistic in the viewport label, shaded. And there's my scene a little clearer. Now it's time to get the seating spaced out. And again, I'm going to select that seating, press T for top view, F3 for wireframe, and use my Align tool. I think what I'll do is have the seating space out just around the chandeliers. So we end up with 1, 2, 3 groups of seating in each panel under 2 chandeliers. Here's that Align tool again. I've got the seating selected. I'll click on the Align tool and pick that chandelier. In this case, I want to align on the X and Y, center to center, and click Apply, and then I'm going to change it. Instead of going center to center, I'll go in the X position from minimum to maximum, or actually maximum to minimum. Notice it's previewing what I'm doing, so I get a good idea of how things space out as I'm aligning. I'll click OK, hold Shift, clone this seating as an instance and pick OK, and align it to the center of the ceiling. I'll align it in this case center to center just on the X and click OK, and finally one more time. I'll press Ctrl V to clone this in place this time as an instance, click OK, align it to the chandelier, This time I'll try minimum to maximum and click OK. Now I'm ready to clone this across, holding Control and picking all three, pressing spacebar for selection lock, holding Shift and registering my mouse on a point that is common to both sections, in this case this ceiling beam. I'll hold Shift, click and drag, and snap to the same place, let it go and click Instance. And now I've got some seating spaced out. If you'd like to add in another seating cluster, maybe on this side, closer to this wall mural on the end we'll put in, you can. Alternately, we could rotate some of this seating and clone it, maybe so we have one across here. For now though, I'll go in and take a look. Again, pressing P for perspective, orbiting that view around, F3 for shaded, and scrolling in. There's some seating, and I'm ready to get the last piece in, the ticket booth.